Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba Ki Jai. So we'll have a bit of a short Satsang today because I have a family social engagement. So it's closed by 6:30 India time. So, and we have a request to sing. So Om Shiva Prince can sing in the end. He can sing in the end. Okay, so Priya has a question.
Namaste, Father.
Don't hear you, my dear. Wait, that's me. We can try now.
Namaste, Father.
Namaste, namaste.
Bit of a pressure release right now.
So is the stethoscope still with me or you took it back midway through? For
Father,
those who
there's
don't know what I'm talking about, I often say that one of the biggest banes of the spiritual seeker is the applying conceptual spiritual knowledge to make a judgment about ourselves, you see, and our state and whether we are progressing or regressing. So last time when we spoke, I remember that I told her that this spiritual checker guy, which I call the spiritual stethoscope, you can leave with me so that you don't judge yourself in these ways. Because all those judgments don't belong to pure being. They belong to just a representation of the person who we think is spiritual now and has to progress into the truth. But all of that is just fallacy. The truth is just always the truth, and the person has never existed. So it's not a movement, it's not a process. So, so, so
Father
now,
today.
so I'm asking whether the stethoscope is back with you or it's with me.
Father, it's more like just exposing and just putting it forward at your feet. So, Father, since 2-3 days, there's been a lot of stuff coming out, and a lot of anger, actually, a lot of um, suppressed resentment, a lot of so much so that there was like a lot of grudge that I was holding for a different people, and a lot of stuff being spoken out very verbally, which was never expressed. And so there was a little judgment in a way that I could not fathom that I'm really speaking all that. And so much is coming out. And but more than that, Father, today there's been a lot of not just mental mind attack, but also physical attack. And so it's just complete like an anxiety attack, or like a totally paralyzed in bed, couldn't get up. I mean, I don't know how I've managed to get
You're
up to.
looking so nice. There's no looking like no trouble at all.
That's what I don't know, Father. I just got up for the satsang and I'm sitting right in front of you. It's
Look so
it's
happy and fully fine.
Father, there's been so much. I want to just expose and just surrender this so much of resentment, and like somehow there was so much of curse that was coming out for a few people that I had held back, and a lot of I mean, there was expectation, there's everything. It's like a cloud burst of all of these, and uh, I just want to put it all at your feet, Father.
What does it mean?
it it was not meaning anything till today. And that was the surprising part, Father, that I was very okay about everything that was happening. Like there was no relationship that I could hold, that oh, they are elder, so I should not speak like that. Oh, they are like, everything was feeling like just a being to being conversation. And so everything was feeling very okay till today, when something was so heavy in the head in the morning when I got up, that I couldn't hold a single grudge or a single that feeling inside. And there was like just a prayer that happened in the morning, that I just can't hold this anymore within. So much of resentment uh, for different people, and random, very, very, maybe, in my childhood, someone, they were also flashing. And everything is just, I don't know, Father, it's been, today it's been very difficult physically to just bear so much. It's
Now she's just trying to disprove me because I was saying you're looking so happy. So some things happened in the movement of this world, in the play of consciousness. No? You see?
yeah.
Now, so it's a play, it's a leela because it's just a play. Now, if we keep holding on to it, or we say means this, or what, how does this apply to how I should be or not be, then those can be very constricting sort of judgments.
Yeah.
Who are you right now?
Father, right now, this, this,
Right now, before you thought about it. Click, click. You see? So the crux of satsang, and I'll say this about 10 different things, but the crux of it really right now is to really determine where can we go. You see, where can we go to make a judgment about what we are. So when the question is asked, who are you right now? Where will the answer be?
Father, I think the problem or the thing happens when it's very fluctuating right now. Like this, just everything is like a leela, and then suddenly within uh, this, it is, I'm experiencing this, I'm feeling this, so much coming out of me, and then suddenly there'll be like a snap, and it's all okay, and then so
So, so in the fluctuation, do you see that we go to a different place for the answer? When we are not taking ourselves to be the false one, then we are not going to the mind. You see? But to fluctuate, we have to go to the mind. You see? And what we keep doing is that we try to keep fixing it for some past version of us or some future version of us. You see? So all the best we can do for the past or future is to be completely open and empty right now. Your mind will complain and say, but Father is not helping me because I wanted a solution to that. You see, there is no solution, no better solution to that than
yeah.
your complete emptiness in this moment. The greatest gift you can give to the universe and to yourself, you see, is your emptiness in this moment. And all that it needs to be empty is not take a limited representation of yourself from the mind. Who are you here to help? Why do we come to satsang? To help whom? You see? So once we start looking in that way, then we see that the one that is just a figment of our mind, just a story, that is not the one that can be helped. And the one that is actually here is beyond all notion of help. But we need to come to satsang to hear that.
Yeah.
Now, don't pick up any representation of yourself. Don't do any shape making. Are you lost?
Father, right now I'm with you, but when it flares up or something comes out, then the shape making already happens. Uh,
So those moments we can't do anything about, forget about them. You see? Now, if you had a bad breakfast, why do you want to spoil lunch thinking about the bad breakfast?
yeah, yeah,
And this is what we constantly do.
yeah.
The moments
Yes.
which lasted a little while, then the mind stretches those out for hundreds of times more than those moments. And all of those moments seem to get embroiled in that drama of just those few moments. The one that spoke those words is not here now. So we can't help her. But you are here. Where is the past now? Who can say what really happened? Is it any different from a dream last night? How many of, let's presume there are many present moments, suppose there's no such thing, but how many such present moments should we spend resolving things from the past? Is it? And who's waiting for you in your living room? Is it?
Sorry, Father, I missed you right now.
God is right there in your living room, in your heart. Is it? But in our thinking about past and future, we keep missing that alive presence, that holy divinity which is just here so naturally. So one tip I want to leave you all with, no, we're not finishing just yet, but it's just coming up now, is that usually what happens in satsang is that, like satsang like this is a very deconstructive process. Right? So you may come in thinking it's like this, okay? Then by the master's grace, you drop that idea and you say it's gone, and you replace it with a new idea saying, no, no, actually it is like this. See? And then that has to be brought up, and then that has to be deconstructed, and you pick up a new idea and say this is. You see? So this is the game we have to stop playing for this to be truly deconstructive, for grace to wash up everything that is there. You see? So, and that is why it can seem like such an absurd environment. It's a strange, we call it direct satsang, but it's direct because what you're holding on to conceptually, you're being asked to give up on, but really no replacement is being provided. You see, it's the only tools of satsang or the words of the master in this type of satsang are just meant to do the cleanup job on the falls, but not replace it with a fresh understanding. You see, because that fresh, we may think it's understanding, but that fresh garbage will then have to be cleared up again later. You see, so just come to the unborn, just come to open and empty.
Empty. Yes.
What do you still understand? What truth is still there in your intellect? Are you making a list?
No, Father, it's just nothing right now.
बहुत सारा है मैं क्या कहाँ से start करूँ?
No, Father, uh, it's always open and empty, and that's what matters. It's
So you
pure.
understand now. Don't even understand this
Yeah.
now. You see, not
Yes.
one iota of truth can we squeeze into our heads. Not one grain of sand worth of truth can you squeeze into your head. That is freedom. Achha. I'll move the mic closer. So freedom is just a general sense of ease. Just a general sense of ease and not trying to really push our idea of truths and make it into some sort of understanding. Is the truth missing? Are you not being right now? Is it? Are you not aware of this being? Is everything not just, and don't give this to your mind, but just notice that all of this world of appearances is just shining in the light of your being. You've never had an experience when you are not there. So traditionally in spirituality, when it is called moving from the head to the heart, this is what it means. It does not mean from going from intellect to emotion or any other sort of physical orientation. It just means the letting go of the mind and relying on that intuitive intelligence. This intuitive intelligence is like a naked intelligence. If you try and dress it up with anything, you see one fig leaf and it gets distorted. So now the question is, what should you do? How do we live? See, which one? This what to do? Nice.
I have this concept in my head that I recognize that it's a concept, but I'm not able to get over it. The fact that I have to do something for it, I have to do something to exist.
What are you doing to exist right now? Huh? Existence is here. How are you holding it up? It's just very natural. Now, when you say I, are you looking at yourself as existence, that which is aware of existence, or just one set of perceptions within this existence?
I say that I relate to
Only, and not to the entirety of perception, but to separate a set of perceptions and say, this is more me than the rest of it. You see, that is the dawn of duality. You see, and with the dawn of duality, there is bound to be desire, and with desire, there is bound to be doership. You see, and I can explain that a bit more. I often call the ego a 3D ego. You see, so duality is like the base. Once you take yourself to be limited, you see, something inside you will feel like, but you're bigger, you should be bigger. You see, because that is your primal bigness calling out to you in a way. You see? So then what happens is the mind presents a solution to you saying, if you had that, and if you had that, you see, and you made sure you never had some third thing, then you feel like I can get bigger. You see, I can be more complete. I can have more. So this is the dawn of desire. You see, now when you take yourself to be limited, which is duality is there, and you say, if I only had this, or I always had this, then the mind presents to you another thing which says, what can I do so that it becomes it? You see? Now, right now, when I ask you, what do you have to do? Nothing. You see? Because right now, you're not desiring anything. You see? The minute you say, I wish I had this, you say, okay, then what can I do about it? Then becomes a natural progression from there. You see? So, so first, you have to take yourself to be just a tiny grain of sand in even this manifest realm of perception. You see? And we were taught how to do this. Even this taking ourselves to be this did not come naturally to us.
why is it so natural
Oh.
to take ourselves to be limited.
Actually, it is not. That's why I was just going to say that. Actually, when we were born, you see, it was more natural to not take ourselves to be limited. I take this example often that we try to teach our children. No? So when I was teaching my son, this is your head, this is your head, he would often point to my head. I say, no, 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 your head. You see? So we were taught in this way, conditioned to take this boundary to be ourselves. You see? And you can check that right now. Right now, what is natural to you? Without thinking about it. Is it natural to you to take yourself to be limited? Where would you draw your boundary right now? Hmm? Even for that, you had to think. No? If for a moment I saw you into your mind, hell, that is the answer came to me. Like that, no? But don't worry about that. Like just from your intuition, just empty of even the label intuition. Is it? Now, what is most natural to you? This existence. Is it? Now, in this existence, is there a boundary? This is my existence, that is your existence. Is there a difference between Abhishek and Ananta? Just in the label, correct? So, what is more natural? Is to exist. You see? Now, what has happened is because we've got used to picking from the mind. You see? So, like somebody, like a porter at the airport, got used to picking from the conveyor belt of the mind. You see? So it can feel like, oh, there's a habit like that. And as long as it feels like that habit is there, so it can feel like effort to just sit with your hands folded, not picking up any bags. For a while, it can feel like effort because you see a bag over there. I can easily lift that. You know? I was good at lifting that. I could really achieve mastery in lifting that. And the proposals from the bags will be like that. You just do this and you'll become so much better. You see, you just understand me and you're done. You see, the life is sorted. So it can feel like there's some magnetic waves coming from the bags, calling you, saying, "Pull me, pull." You see, like that. So, and because the habit is to go there, therefore, provisionally, it can seem like there's some effort in not picking up the bag. And as long as it feels like that is some effort, as long as non-effort feels like effort, we can make that effort till we see that actually it is non-effort. But in your natural open and empty, notionless existence, unborn, whatever you call it, you see, there is no illusion, there is no delusion, there is no limitation, there is no ego, there is no me, you, see? There is no duality, desire, worship. Just like that. You see? Just like that, I pointed you to that, which is the most natural recognition of your being. But what will trouble you now is when you try to make use of it for me. You see? So if you try to use it for me, then again the me comes into focus. The non-existent me seems to become the protagonist again, and then we seem to again take ourselves to be limited. All of this is who's playing this game? Consciousness itself. Consciousness playing the game of taking itself to be a limited entity, and consciousness itself ridding itself of that notion. And the mind will feed you this idea that, but it's so natural, my limitation is so natural, but it's really not. That's why this works. Before the sound of the click, you are free. Whatever your mind may say about it later, you are free right now. There's nothing you can do about it. Fight it as you may. Huh? Yes, my dear. All sorted?
Yes, Father. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. You can go to Warjo. Sorry if I mispronounce your name, my dear. Very good. Very good. So beautiful. This is what grace looks like.
Thank you.
What's happening? Just trying to poke and see if some words come out of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Huh? Can't hear you so well. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. So good. So good. So good. The best. The best. Always. Always. Yeah. Always. All my love. All my blessings. May this grace continue to flower in this most beautiful way. So,
Thank you.
It's good.
At your feet, Father. Only at your feet. At your feet.
Big hugs, all my love. Full blessings. Full.
A big hug, an enormous hug. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful meeting you. Okay, Sarunas can come. Like a continuation of
Of crying and laughing.
all good. Same.
You know, more than good.
Oh, more than good. Yes.
I just maybe know what to share or
Huh?
describe experience.
Yeah.
For a couple of past days, it seems like like the our attention or something wants to put a shape or
Mm.
you know, like this is it, you know.
What is
And
the
as you
theme?
said, like when we
What, what is the
come to,
what is the topic of the shape? Is it spiritual or what kind of shape is it?
it's like a energetical, you know, like um,
Dear Ladia says, Guruji, with your permission, I'm translating to my language for my brother Patrick. No, but we've not had much to translate actually. Some guys stop recording because we're not saying.
Thank you. You know,
There's some pranayama also. There's some laughter also. There's some crying also.
I want to say thank you.
Thank you too, my dear. Very, very good. All my love, all my blessings. Full, full, full. Thank you. Okay, just catching up with the chat a bit. Okay, one question is, so Father, true understanding is just being open and empty of any identification, meaning no for of understanding. I didn't get the last part from you. So if you want to elaborate, but if what you're conveying is what I feel you're conveying, yes. just in open and empty, whatever understanding. In fact, it is a divine understanding. We may feel like open and empty is just like a nothingness, like a nothingness. And when we talk about like a conceptual nothingness at times, to the mind that can seem like a very negative nothing. But this empty is where all this universal intelligence arises. So the greatest intuitive understanding is already in your heart, but your head seems to have just clouded it a bit. So coming to satsang is to just blow those clouds away. Very good. Then next one is even truth seems like a concept that is not what is the self. Yes, every concept is a concept. Just like everything you can think is a thought. And everything that you can think is a concept. Then next one says, Dear Ananta, not knowing anything or know who is I, not knowing anything or know who is I, what is aware, what is the higher. So just drop all knowing, just drop all knowing, and then use this question like a bazooka. Who is aware? Then next one says, Beloved Anantaji Father, how come that I am so incredibly touched by your satsangs? So much love, so much gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm incredibly touched by your report as well. Next one says, feeling so wonderful in your presence. Here is real rest. Thank you so much. Finished. Exactly. Not always. You can smell it. Like many times we will be crying, but it could be very like full of mental messages. You see? Anytime you could be laughing and it could be full of mental messages. But sometimes you can smell a laughter, a crying, which is empty of all of that. You see?
Is that asking how the when they are laughing and crying?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, that's why I called it grace. That's why I called it grace. You see? So it's not a like a pretense. Like many times, what can happen is, so when I say in our laughter, many times we could laugh out of pride or something like that. So it's not a like a childlike laughter. When you return to the childish innocence, then we are not distinguishing between laughing and crying. And then when you're laughing, you can have no mind. In fact, Papaji said that when you're laughing, you can't think. That has to be that childlike laughter, innocent laughter. You could be laughing at someone. So that is definitely egoistical. Egotistical.
How about crying? Is it free?
Yeah. Sometimes crying is very egotistic. Very.
Or then not at all?
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah. Like anything actually. So in satsang, you'll develop a nose for it. You see? You just develop a nose for it. And mostly it's not to check on other people, but to check on yourself. Like, what are you representing at the moment? You see, are your tears full of messages of poor me, little old me? You see? Or is it just flowing, and you can't say why? If you're pushed, you may say, I'm so grateful or something like that, but even that is force. And at one time I was standing in the satsang line in Tiruvannamalai and just started laughing. Just started laughing. And mostly it was satsang brothers and sisters, so they didn't judge, but those who were new were definitely wondering what's happening with this guy. Very much. Mhm.
What did you mean when you said the heart has to break many times before it can open?
Ah. Ah,
What has to break?
ah. What does mean? My whole thing is these days is to point you to not worry about meaning. What are we going to do with all this meaning? What's it? What's the meaning of meaning? What meaning does it give us? You see? So we've tried to build a life or an existence which is built on top of the massive meaning and the massive understanding that we seem to have learned in our life. You see, but that is just, as I often say, just a house of cards. It's nothing. Because if you meet anything that you think you know with pure objectivity, huh, you inquire into its reality, you'll see it's pure garbage. Pure garbage. Doesn't mean anything. What is dependent on meaning making in this moment? Your being. Is your being fine without making meaning? So it's being itself which seems to play this game of becoming habituated to try to make meaning out of everything, to make meaning out of every perception. You see? We don't feel like our perceiving is complete till we have deciphered what it is. You see? But it is to contaminate our true understanding. It's like, I'll just finish this point, maybe. So it's like you meet everything in life, of millions of various shapes, but you have these molds, right? You have the circle, you have a star, you have a square, you have a rectangle. Right? Then everything that you meet has to fit into one of these four. Is it? So you say, okay, like that, this fits best into star. This fits best into circle. Is it? So this is what we are doing in a slightly more sophisticated, not much more sophisticated, because our meanings are also very limited. Is it? Because we can take very broad perceptual things, is it? And convert it into what's happening here. Oh, uh, a man who is the master is speaking to his disciples. To the mind, it can seem like very accurate representation, is it? But what is it compared to just this? It's empty of presence, empty of even the perceptual brilliance of this very moment is missing from there. Is it? And this is the trouble with narrative. Like we all have a narrative about our life, see? But it is just these tiny molds which we use, see? And basically it's our dictionary which is the molds, our vocabulary, our dictionary. We are trapped in our concepts, in our words. You may have had 5 moments where something shaky showed up yesterday. You may have 10 million moments where everything was just fine. Right? 5 moments where something was shaky. And you see somebody come and ask you, how was your day yesterday? That's such a terrible day. That is the problem with meaning making. It puts life in these tiny molds. It's like a Lego version of life. Our mind is like right in its representations, makes these Lego version of our life. And we're just trying to fix those Lego characters and the Lego house and the Lego car, these Lego relationships. We're just working at that level. Because everything we're trying to fix is just here. Everything is just here. It's only conceptual. Every problem you ever had, you never had. You see? It was only here. Because without this, you are all there is. You are consciousness. You see? And God never had a problem with anything. So I see sometimes, like last week, we were speaking with Govind, and I was saying that in that one moment of emptiness, all the intelligence about the entirety of time and space, you see, that ever seem to apparently exist, is here. You see, it can never be forced here, but is here. And that can seem an idea which is too broad, no? but 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 you are God. Without the head, without your conceptual ideas about yourself, you are all there is. You are the pure consciousness. You are that magnificent being. So if the intelligence is not there, then it's nowhere. And and uh, and you can tell just by using perception that the world moves in a very supremely intelligent way, but not a type of intelligence that our heads can always fathom. Huh?
It needs to do all.
It needs,
Finding meaning is not-
correct, correct. It needs to do. So you let it do what it needs to do. If the conveyor belt has to present a bag every second, doesn't mean you have to pick it up. All your belongings are already with you. You don't have to pick up any more bags. The stomach is already full. You don't need to pick up any more sushi from the conveyor belts at your sushi. Okay. Are you sleeping at least once in a while, Father? Or are you now also above that phenomenon? You look really tired. I feel okay actually. I haven't slept so well last night, you're right. I sleep very well on the weekend. Thank you, thank you. Next one says, thank you, Father, for everything. It is my birthday tomorrow. Aha. Could I please have your darshan for self-realization? Tomorrow? Oh, okay. Please keep my head at your feet. Thank you so much. Thank you, Father, for everything. It is my birthday tomorrow. Could I please have your darshan for self-realization? That's only now. The darshan of the self is here right now. You know how to get to it? You know how to get it? How to get the darshan of the self right now? Come on. Yes, you're right. That's it. You see? If you don't have a mold of what the self looks like, what you meet is always the self. And remember to include everything, including that which witnesses everything. You see? But when the only thing that gets in our way, seemingly, of meeting the self is when we have an idea of what the self would be. As the great Saint Kabir said, the beggar is you, the thief is you, the one who catches the policeman is you, everything. Don't forget to include the elephant in the room, which is that which witnesses everything. How can you not have the darshan of the self? Even the delusion plays in that one. Then next one said, you said to know yourself truly is just to be free of any conceptual idea about yourself, including the idea of empty. I really feel this. Very good. Very good. Very good. Next one says, don't know if it is a good question now. How to stop a specific thought that is going for hours in the mind and bothers so much? Could you say something about it? That's what I just sort of also answered. You see, how much of your being does the mind take up? The space where thoughts appear and disappear in your existence. He is saying like that. You see, not even this much. You see, like that. You see, but it's not even this much. Yeah. So 6:30. So this aspect of our being is like I use this metaphor. If I make a small dot on a white wall, is it? And I say, "What do you see?" Most will say, "Black dot." Is it? But hardly anybody says, "Big white wall." And that is the same thing with the mind. Because it jumps around so much, we feel like it deserves all that attention, focus. So let it keep repeating the same thought if it has to. Let it bring up new thoughts if it has to. Let it become quiet if it has to. Let it shout if it has to. Doesn't really matter to you. As your interest is waning from the content of thought, is it? Then it will not bother you so much. Is it? It's like I take this example of this airport close to where I live used to be very active. But initially, I was interested in what is happening in the airport. So it was, I could just hear, oh, every 5 minutes there's a flight, every 10 minutes there's a flight, oh, like that. After a few months, I couldn't hear the plane. They were still taking off, they were still making the noise, but it didn't bother me. Same thing with the mind also. When its representations and presentations, when you are clear that they do not represent any valid reality, then it will become simple. Next one says, Dear Ananta, knowing nothing needs no effort, but the question of who is the I brings back the effort and the mind. How to have this question without effort? So when you know nothing, how do you know what is effort and effortless? Huh? Can't hide anything. Can't hide anything. Then next one says, is it possible to be aware of oneself and deep sleep while in deep sleep? Yes, yes. We are only aware of ourselves in deep sleep. Always have been. Love you, Father. Love you too, my dear. Very good. Okay. I see Poonam and Lawrence. So Poonam first.
Namaste, Father.
Namaste. Okay.
I just wanted to report when I had a talk to you last time.
Yes.
Then I asked about that dark, empty space.
Yeah.
Then you said to inquire. When I did that, what I noticed that when at, at the moment that when I was looking at the dark, empty space, then I just asked who's aware, and then just attention shifted from attention, and there was nothing actually. There was just sense of something. What I don't know, but there was a sense of something is watching and something is aware, but attention was shifted from attention. Where it goes, I don't know. I couldn't get it to where it disappeared, but
Yes.
it just disappeared. And then black empty space that was not there.
So attention was no longer presenting anything really, or you were not so concerned with whatever attention was presenting in that moment, and yet it was clear that there is an awareness. You see, whether maybe there's a trepidation to call it I am aware. You see, maybe there's some fear that that may sound like arrogance or something, but very simply it is noticed that I am aware. In fact, there is no distinction between I and awareness. You see, like Bhagavan said, awareness is another name for you. So, but it is not a perceptual insight. That's why you said that there was just like a feeling. You may feel like it's just like a feeling or a sense, but it is
Yeah,
not
yeah,
that you can perceive. You see?
yeah.
Very good. Very good. So
And
that
then
you,
another thing,
that
yes,
that you, which you could not perceive, but you still had a sense
yeah.
about. You see? That you still had a sense about. Now that you, does it have any trouble or suffering?
No, when actually, when I'm aware, yes, there is sense, then nothing troubles actually. It's just watching kind of thing happening. Everything is coming and going. But habitually, what happens? Attention again goes to that black empty space again and again.
That's okay.
But again,
That's because
sometime
you
I remember, then I come back.
okay, okay, good. So I just want to clarify that the intent of the inquiry was not to keep your attention away from the black empty space. You see, it was just to
Okay,
recognize that you are not that you are beyond even that. Now, after that
okay,
recognition becomes clearer and clearer, that you are not that, you are something which is not perceivable, and yet just intuited, just intuitively you have the sense of who you are, then attention can go anywhere, whether it's resting in dark empty space, or whether it's resting in a sense of beingness, or whether it's in the world, in the apparent world, it doesn't really matter.
okay,
See? So then we realized that this game was never about where attention goes anyway.
okay. Yes, this is what I am doing this thing because I'm not remembering this or not watching that. Who am I? Actually, I'm just looking for the attention where it is going and away.
But if attention could go to your true self, then your true self would
Mhm.
also be another perception and therefore unreal. You see?
Okay.
Attention is like the medium for perception.
Mhm.
You see? And everything that you perceive comes and goes and is therefore not real. So yourself will never be an object of your attention. So So leave your attention free. It can go wherever it wants. There's no trouble with that.
But then it remains outside only, and my attention fixes to that attention only. That's the issue.
Everything really is uh, just a perception if it is in the content of your attention. Therefore, everything is either we can say inside or outside, because that distinction is not really valid. You see?
Okay.
Because what draws the line between inside and outside? What is the boundary of inside and outside? It is just conceptual. You see, it's just conceptual. Some may say it is the body, some may say it is sight or some other senses. You see, but it is just conceptual. The boundary between inside and outside is just made up in our heads. So there is no such thing as inside or outside. We use those terms provisionally. Like we'll say, go inside you, you will find yourself. It is saying that look beyond that which is available to you in perception. You see?
Okay.
What is beyond this regular perceptual content? Whether the perceptual content is full of light and sound, or it is dark and empty, both are perceptual content.
Okay.
You see? But you are recognizing now that yourself is not. And you cannot
Actually,
confirm it.
I don't remember. Yeah.
You cannot confirm it with your mind, you see. You cannot confirm it with your mind. Even now you can sense it. If I ask you, are you aware now? Are you aware?
Yes.
Yes. You see? That's it.
There is
That's all.
there is a sense. Yeah.
Exactly.
But mind is involved. That is also like perceivable. Yes, mind is involved.
Yes, yes, yes. Let it dance around, no, like an unwanted guest in the party. It's okay. You don't have to change it or fix it. You don't have to do anything with it. You see, in fact, it is the trick of the mind itself which will come and tell you that this mind has to change or the mind has to be fixed. Who's saying that?
Okay.
As long as you're not taking its representation to be valid, you see, as long as you're not taking yourself to be that which it is telling you, it can come and offer you anything.
Yeah. True.
You see. You don't have to stop the salesman from coming. You just have to stop buying from the salesman. Then itself the salesman will stop when it's tired.
Mm. True.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, my child. Just to pick up on the sleep question, the questioner says, I am aware of the self only after getting up from deep sleep, not while I am in deep sleep. Acha. Okay. So, who was in deep sleep? You were. How do you know you were there? Is it? Because you were there. It's just like saying that um, I use this example every time this question comes up. So, if we say that I am aware of the wall only when it's white, you see, but I'm not aware when it's black, then how do you know it turned black? You see, I know I slept, I woke up from sleep. You see? So you were there to see the contrast. Like you, the witness that testifies to the changing of the state. The witness has to be constant. If the witness also came up with one of the states, then for it only that state is. You see, then there is no notion at all of the sleep state. So then if I asked you what time did you wake up, it would sound like an absurd question because you were always awake in the waking state. You see? But because you were there, you see, but your phenomenal infrastructure was not there, therefore mind was not there, senses were not there, no phenomenal experience was there. So there's nothing really to register in your memory. You see? So sometimes what the mind tricks you into believing is that because in the last moment before sleep there may be darkness, or the moment just after sleep, you wake up there may be a darkness, you may be given this idea that you spent the last so many hours in a dark, empty room or something in your head. You see, but it's not like that. Even the darkness is not there in sleep state. You see, but you can say, so if I was to ask you, what was there in your sleep state? You say, nothing was there. You see, so how do you know nothing was there? You have to have been there, no? But you empty of all the perceptual play. Now, sometimes what happens is because we've heard about just the self in the sleep state, we feel like we have to, like the sages, have a special sleep state, you see, where they're fully aware, you see, fully aware. But that is true about you also, you see. But what we are taking to be awareness maybe is not really awareness. You see? We may be still taking some perceptual game of attention. Like I should be able to notice that my body is sleeping. Then that is not sleep state. That is like you can have many states. Like for simplicity, talking about the modes. For simplicity, we have broken it up into sleep state, waking state, dream state, turiya state, all these names. But actually, it's a huge spectrum between sleep state and waking state. Sometimes um, uh, being wakes up, but there is no apparent world yet. You see, you just so there is no notion of name or form or anything, just pure beingness. You see? Sometimes you'll notice that you're a little more awake than that, so you're just observing some sensations of the body, but the mind is not yet fully there. So you don't know what your name is. You see, you can just experience some sensation. Sometimes just sliver of the beingness is there. You see, in various varieties. And as you're letting go of mental notions, you will start to notice all of these subtle states, and these boxes of these four states will then be known to be very broad molds for something which is much more intricate than that. Okay, last question from Lawrence, and then I have to rush. 4 minutes. I have a deadline, curfew. Yeah.
Namaste. Um, just please bless me to overcome this strong attack. Let's put it this way.
What is the theme of the attack?
Um,
I can help you a bit. I can help you a bit. So, what can be attacked is like an image of the self that we have made. You see? Now, usually for this self-image, there are four main compartments, you see, with which we make this self-image. The first is the compartment of special relationships, whether it is romantic relationship, partner type relationship, or children, or anything that we have a specific attachment to a relationship. We call that special relationship. The second is the body, the health of the body, the state of the body, things related to the upkeep of the body. The third is the question of security, mostly meaning money and financial um, uh, image, financial ideas of how much money we should have or not. And the fourth is the idea of meaning or freedom, or that which we can call the spiritual self-image, like the things which we think give us a lot of meaning, or the things which are helping us become free. So that also becomes a compartment of our self-image. Usually I've seen that most of the attacks happen around one of these themes.
Okay, so the attack concerns the four, the
Yes.
four in one.
A 4 in 1.
Yes, 4 in 1, all combined.
Yeah.
It's a massive one. And
It's a big one. It's
y-
true. It's a big one. I'm not making a joke
no,
because sometimes life throws us these things which will seem to attack every aspect of our self-image.
I think it's a combination of all. Yes. Uh, I'm not sure really. I know it's identification, but it's just as uh, uh, how can I? If I'm not to be personal, I'm not sure how to handle this and what to say. It's there's inability to cope with material life here. There's oh, God. On the material side, I need to. There's a need to find a place where to live. There's more and more solitude, and there's almost no professional activity. So that covers about all this. And there's acceptance of this as grace, giving opportunity to I can't even find the words, to recognize who I am. And then and lately it was recognition of the doer and not to be not to know anything, not to interpret. And to sum it up, my son that I hardly ever see came this weekend, and at some point, and there was a bit of lack of energy in this one, with all transcending so many things, trying not to connect to many attacks, and so the return was that he felt very sad and he didn't understand me at all. And actually, none of my family understand who I am. They're totally lost, and so it hit me also on the one who is spiritual and who should progress and whatever, and just totally confused on everything. I just no idea. Of course, this one also is also always trying to help and doesn't want of the help at all. Telling this one it always interprets, which is true in a way. So there's total confusion. Really torn between there's nothing to do and but so I thought of surrendering it all, but there's great confusion at the moment.
Actually, I was saying thank you for sharing that. Um, I feel that it's a full-on multi-pronged thing, but I have to say that there comes. I was sharing with another one in the sangha yesterday that there's a certain period uh, while you're in satsang, while during that time your confusion is very helpful for satsang. You may not, of course, see it right now, and it may be very confusing to see how it is true. But as you're coming to a dissolution of concepts, you see, then what will happen is that it just starts to seem like alphabet soup in the middle. You see, it's just like what's going on, what's really true, and
I just don't. I,
is
it's
it?
just I don't know
So
if I need to do something. The only I hardly see anyone, and when I see people like my family, and they say, "But you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you cannot stay like this," and get totally. It of course it grabs on fears that it can still remain, and solitude, and totally lost actually. Uh,
I'm sending you all my blessings, all my love, and anything that you feel that you can just leave here today in the holy fire of satsang. Just I encourage you to leave everything.
all this identification to this I that needs whatever.
Very good. Okay, so my wife has knocked on the door twice, and I have to run.
Okay,
But
I'm really sorry.
all, all my love, all my blessings,
Thank
and
you.
if you like, you know that you're always welcome to talk more on Monday and when we meet next. But till
Yes,
then, big hug to you and to all
thank
of you.
you. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Sri Muji Baba
Thank you.
ki
Jay.
uh,
Okay.
Guru Kripa Kiran.
Kalam Guru Kripak.
And
Thank you.
love you all. Sorry to rush off like this.